Good afternoon. My name is Ilana Stein, Israeli government spokesperson. This is day 131 of the October 7th war. Today's briefing will focus on the latest from Israel's northern border. This morning, numerous launches were identified crossing from Lebanon onto the areas of Netua, Manara, and into the IDF base in northern Israel. The IDF immediately struck the sources of the fire. As a result of this attack, one Israeli woman was killed, and at least 8 were hospitalized from the Hezbollah rocket fire. An IDF base was also hit in the barrage. Just yesterday, Hezbollah assaulted the city of Kiryat Shmona, where a mother and her 15-year-old son are still hospitalized and being treated for their injuries. I say this loudly and clearly. This can no longer be our reality. Earlier this afternoon, IDF fighter jets began a series of strikes in Lebanon. Further details will be released later today. As we have made clear time and time again, Israel is not interested in a war on 2 fronts. But if provoked, we will respond forcefully. The current reality, where tens of thousands of Israelis are displaced and cannot return to their homes, is unbearable. They must be able to return home and live in peace and security. Moving to our hostages. Today, 100 representatives of the hostages' families flew to the Netherlands and filed an official complaint with the International Criminal Court at The Hague against Hamas leaders. The charges detailed in the official complaint include kidnappings, enforced disappearances, sexual violence, torture, and other crimes. As you know, today also marks Valentine's Day. Instead of celebrating it with their loved ones, many spouses are left in the dark, wishing for one tiny glimpse of their wife, husband, partner, who are still held captive by Hamas in their terror dungeons. After 131 days, they must all come home now. At least one of the evil leaders of Hamas is hiding out in the southern Gaza Strip in these terror tunnels. The IDF spokesperson yesterday revealed footage of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar in tunnels under Khan Yunis. The clip, filmed on October 10th, features Sinwar in a tunnel scurrying underneath the southern Gaza city of Khan Yunis like the butcher coward he is, walking behind what appears to be his wife, along with 3 of his children, who are led by Sinwar's brother Ibrahim, according to the IDF. Sinwar appears healthy, in one piece, carrying a bag and wearing Adidas flip-flops. One of his daughters is seen holding a doll. The rest of Gaza's children, however, are not so lucky. Hamas uses Gaza's children as human shields. Gaza's children do not have access to these tunnels to afford them the protection he offers his own family. Another video that was taken from Hamas surveillance footage from these tunnels that was recently retrieved by IDF troops operating in the area exposes millions of dollars in cash in Sinwar's safe. This money could have been provided and could have been used to provide a better life for the children of Gaza, but Sinwar kept it for himself. That brings us to the end of today's briefing. Now I will be happy to take your questions.
Thank you. First question from Joel Pollock. Thank you. First question from Joel Pollock from Breitbart News. South Africa filed an urgent appeal with the International Court of Justice to stop any Israeli attack in Rafah. The South African application cites the assault on Sunday evening, without mentioning that the operation was to free 2 Israeli civilian hostages. Can you comment on South Africa's filing?
I find it very ironic that while we do everything in our power not to hurt civilians, and as we just saw, Hamas does everything in their power so that civilians will be hurt, that South Africa decides to be their advocate. It's like being the devil's advocate. So I will not respond to the actual comments that they have, but I will say that we abide by international law because we are a country in democracy, and we think it's very important to do so, and we do it because of our own moral compass. while Hamas is a terror organization that takes pride in butchering people and posting it on Facebook and other media. So I think South Africa should think about who they want to side with and how history will judge them.
Thank you. Another question from Hannah Julian, the Jewish Press. Any comment on today's Hezbollah rocket barrage on northern Israel regarding French pressure to accept a compromise deal that would send Hezbollah 10 kilometers from the border instead of enforcing Resolution 1701 north of the Litani River?
As you know, we think that the UN resolution should be respected, and this is what we are aiming for. Other discussions that are being taking place behind closed doors I cannot comment about, but what we know is that we need our people to be secure. For 4 months, these people have not been in their homes, have not been doing their jobs because of Hezbollah attacking us and deciding to do this without any reason to do so whatsoever. So we hope that the international community understands that this cannot take place anymore and that we need their support, and they should stand behind the UN resolutions that were already accepted in the past and now we should all make sure that they actually are respected.
Another question from Hannah Julian, the Jewish Press. Which IDF base was hit, and was anyone injured, and was there damage?
In my comments before, I discussed the damage. I cannot talk specifically about a specific base, but we do have casualties, as I said before, and of course every casualty is something that is very, very sad for us. And as we said, we do not want this war, and we do not want casualties.
Question from Gwen Ackerman of Bloomberg. Does Israel see today's attacks as an escalation?
This war has been taking place for, as you know, for 4 months and for 131 days. And there's been highs and there have been lows, but basically it should stop. And this is what we want the world to understand. This has to stop, and as fast as possible.
Thank you. That's the last question.
Thank you for your time, and we'll see you in our next briefing.